Hi, welcome to Lip Service, episode number 2, and I'm your host, Stash Jenkins. For those of you who don't know, Lip Service is the show about independent comics and the men, women behind the scenes who create them, read them, and love them. Today we have a special treat as our guest is going to be David Heyer of Battleaxe Productions, plus one or two comic book reviews. Who knows? I might surprise myself. And also, a very special treat, this show is sponsored by C2E2, coming up in Chi-Town, our hometown, April 26th to the 28th at McCormick Place. C2E2, the kind that you, the readers, deserve. So let's get started. Hi, folks. This is Stash Jenkins of Lip Service, and today we have a very interesting guest, David Heyer of Battleaxe Productions. David, welcome to Lip Service.
How you doing?
Hey, we're doing great. We're doing great. So, David, what got you into comics in the first place?
Well, when I was a kid, my grandmother worked at this place, and she knew a guy who used to buy comics all the time. And then he didn't collect them, so he just gave them to her, and then they got to me. So that's probably late 60s, early 70s.
Okay, late 60s, early 70s. And you've been collecting ever since, correct?
No, actually, like, we were working class, so I really wasn't allowed to buy anything. So I didn't get back into it till I was in my mid-20s.
Oh, okay.
And then, because I got a friend, I met a guy in graduate school who was into it.
Okay.
And then I started getting it, and after I graduated, I started getting pretty serious about it.
Ah, okay. And okay, so then from there, what was your transition over to into actual production?
That's a long story, because the reason I really got into any of this was because I was trying to get into the entertainment industry for years. And then the first thing I tried to do was pitch.
Okay.
Or pitching movie ideas, TV ideas.
Mm-hmm.
And my first experience with that was, like, I used to watch a show called Real Wild Cinema.
Okay.
Hosted by Sandra Barnhart.
And
then she had two guests on one time, Roger Corman and Lloyd Kaufman.
All right.
And they were always saying how they are always looking for talent and stuff. So I sent them letters with some brainstorm ideas, and I got a letter back from Kaufman. But then he told me to call his studio, so I called his studio, and then they basically told me he had no money. So you know how that goes. And then, of course, 2 weeks later, I saw Kaufman in Cannes with like 10 people. So he had enough money to go to Cannes, but So I didn't quite give up. I let things flounder for a couple of years, and then I thought, well, maybe I should start writing my own stuff. So I wrote a short story, and then I was peddling that for a long time. And the only thing that I got from the publishing industry was that they'd rather have me buy their magazines than publish me.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, no, so they're not really interested. You know how it is, and then you find out that you have to have an agent if you're really serious to get into the business, and agents won't pick you up unless you're making money. So it's catch-22 all around.
Darn if you do.
So my next transition was I heard about this producer in Jersey who was taking pitches. So I showed up to the college he was working at, and then I gave my pitch. He encouraged me to write a screenplay from my short story, and then to pitch it again. And then I should have been red flagged by the whole thing, because there's like 30 to 50 of us there, and he seemed to like everything. And that's not realistic. You know, so I wrote my screenplay, and I took it to him back in Jersey, and then he just it just turned into a big argument. It was pathetic. It was just not a good experience for me at all. He thought my character was too realistic. He didn't think I could. What? Excuse me?
Yeah. Well, how in the world could a character not be realistic? I mean, that's the main premise for comics in the first place. You know, that doesn't make sense.
Well, he thought, like for movies, he said the audience can't relate to something. They take it as too scary if it's too realistic, if it's grounded in reality. And then at that time, he when I first met him, they were always encouraging people to do graphic novels, because the trend was was like you advertise with a graphic novel. That's how you eventually get your script and your movie made.
Right.
And so I naively took his word for it, how cheap it was. And then so I already was in the works by the time I met him the second time.
Okay.
And so I was already committed to doing the book. So I thought, I'm just going to do this. If he doesn't like it, I'll just move on, do my own thing.
Okay, and you've been doing your own thing ever since.
Right.
Okay. So now what is the book that you've been working on? What's it about?
It's called Moonbeam's Death Dreams. It's basically a child who's from a working-class neighborhood, and how through his trials and tribulations, he basically becomes a sociopath. And he has his goals, and then he eventually goes to pharmacology school because he wants to do designer drugs. Set up a business, something sustainable for himself. Okay. And then he eventually goes to war with the local mob. He takes on this local mob, and then he becomes the sole heir to the city. Mm-hmm. And then he has to put up money laundering operations, and then he has to get the right camouflage for his business and for what he really is. Like, he needs the right wife, he needs the right job, he needs the right neighborhood. And eventually, after he conquers all these worlds, he gets bored and he becomes a serial killer. Yeah.
Okay.
So he starts mimicking a werewolf. He has this thing about werewolves because his mother used to torture him with a wolf when he was young.
Okay. So wow. So now, realistically, now the funny part of it all is with this going on, with your book and everything, it sounds more like it was prophetic, especially with certain events going on in today's times. So to me, that for you to be involved in this now, and with all things hopping off, that I find that eerily prophetic, to say the least.
Well, I grounded things on purpose. I'm an anthropologist. I have a master's in anthropology.
Okay.
So I've studied like serial killers and what they do and how they operate, and I believe that most serial killers are made sociopaths, and we all have sociopathic tendencies. That's just self-preservation.
Right.
But these people, they have no empathy at all, and I wanted to ground the character. I wanted to show people how this person was created and how this person could sustain his life, and I wanted to produce a whole three-dimensional character. One of my problems with comics in general or movies is that you never know how these villains or anybody else who's in the movies or in books, they never tell you how they sustain themselves. Everybody has a job, somebody has an income, and then that's where I thought to myself, well, why I should make this guy ambitious.
Right.
So I actually patterned him after Alexander the Great. His progression is very linear until he just goes goal to goal to goal to goal until he gets everything he wants.
Right. Okay. So wow, that. Whew. So realistically, these characters are us basically, where folks see everything and basically what they got to deal with is here and now, and there is no fairy tale, no fairy tale solution to the whole entire situation. So with this, what about with your book Moonbeams? What other aspects makes this book so interesting? I mean, what about the police investigations and so on?
Well, I wrote the whole thing from the killer's point of view.
Okay.
I wasn't really interested in the police. I have him where he manipulates the police department and the judges. Mm-hmm. But if you look at the majority of things on TV or in books, it's usually not from the killer's point of view. The only thing I can think of off the top of my head is Dexter.
Okay.
So it was more like your typical movie. It's always some detective chasing down this maniac who's superhuman, and then these mind games, these unbelievable mind games. My character's nothing like that.
Okay. So from here, your character is really a nicer version of Jeffrey Dahmer by chance?
No,
No.
he is not. He's just smarter.
Okay.
He has more ambition. He he's a raw character. I got some feedback recently from the book, and I really didn't realize how raw and hardcore horror the book really is.
Hmm.
Uh, so he's more like a combination of Alexander the Great and Gotti.
Ooh. Okay. Okay. Alexander the Great and John Gotti, the Teflon Don himself. So actually, realistically, this is a to me that seems like to be the cross between the Kingpin, Gotti, and Jack the Ripper all rolled up into one, basically. You know.
That's a good analogy. That's really good.
Oh yeah.
Actually,
Well, thank you. Well, well, I mean, just basing on what you had just told me of his. First of all, he's ambitious, and to me, that's something that I have never seen from a serial killer from any standpoint. One that wants to be more than what he already is. They just simply seem to be slaves to the passion, so to
right.
speak.
It's it's like we put bad people on pedestals.
Mm,
We really do. I mean, if you look at some, like if I go back to Alexander the Great, we really put like all these great conquerors on these big pedestals, and we forget all the people that their troops destroyed. I mean, empires are built on the bodies of the dead, you know,
no.
and I want to make that clear that like he's a he's a really evil individual.
Okay. So so now with what you're doing, with the story, does he eventually get brought to justice at all, or is he just more or less, having a thrill time of his life, doing all this and just frustrating police the police and the public in general?
There's a twist at the end. He doesn't
Okay.
get you can't. I don't think you can have a character where that everything goes right for them.
Hmm.
I don't think that's. I don't even think that would be even fun to read. But there's
Right.
definitely a twist at the end, and that's where it gets into the supernatural realm. I threw a little twist in there, so there's definitely doesn't get away with everything.
Okay. Um, now to get into the more meat of the bones of aside from the story, how in the world did you manage to find your audience? How did you manage to create your audience and get people interested in what you're doing?
Well, that's the problem. I'm still trying to find my audience. You got a couple of things that are, I think, going against you. So far, it's only a digital book.
Hmm.
That's a smaller market. And it's a mature book. That's a smaller market. And it's a hardcore horror book, and that's even a smaller market. So trying to find that audience is a real challenge for me.
Okay. And as from one independent producer to another, I totally understand that. But at the same time, I noticed for that horror, I know it's more leaning towards zombies and whatnot, but the horror genre in comics is the newest thing that's popping off because there are a lot of people who are tired of the superhero slash genre that has predominated the market. And digital, well, everybody says that that's the wave of the future. So from here, what other avenues have you thought about? Have you thought about putting it in print, or maybe trying to find a larger uh, digital outpost like Comixology or someplace like that?
I'm still testing the waters. There's like two basic marketing strategies. The first one is what I'm doing right now. I'm being exclusive. I'm only selling it through my own site.
Uh huh.
Now, if this seems like a bad strategy in the long run, it's simply because people don't know who I am yet. They don't know my brand yet. They don't know my
Right.
story yet. And then I might have to revert to the second strategy, which most people use, and that's you blanket all the major distribution centers.
Right, right. Well, and, that too. But also, have you thought of? be putting your name out there, because I mean there are a lot of independent comic sites that you can get interviews from. And there's a few of them that I'm associated with, Jasmine Online or Small Press Association, or no, sorry, Self Publishing Association. Places like that to where you put your name out there, and and put your book out there, and there you go. And also, have you thought about other social media like Facebook or someplace like that?
Yeah, I don't have a Facebook page for my book yet, my
Uh-huh.
company,
Hmm.
but like when I was first putting the book together, I wasted a lot of time on MySpace.
Okay.
MySpace was the big thing at the time, and I
Right.
have actually over 2,000 followers on that.
Okay.
And I'm not really impressed with social media in general because most of the people you come in contact with are people who are already in the business or they're trying to sell you stuff. So everybody's trying to sell each other stuff. And it's
Uh-huh.
really hard to find those fans who want to be the readers.
Right. Right. Which I totally understand. So, did you ever put your book out there on MySpace for just for people to view? Because the one thing that I found out is putting it out there, people, it's the old hair commercial. One person tells another, and they tell two friends, and so on and so on and so on. you know Even though and eventually you might find somebody that goes, oh, and check it out. you know so so
I've put pages out there.
uh-huh.
I've put the first 7 pages
Hmm.
on my face page. I
Okay.
don't know if I should actually go any farther than that. Like I said, I just don't think I'm reaching the proper market at all.
Right.
Um, if you look at the people with the biggest followings on MySpace or Facebook or
Hmm.
whatever, they're already connected. They're usually
Yeah.
very like movie stars and rock stars or
Nice.
whatever you want to call it. They have huge collections. They have huge followers to begin with.
Well, yeah. Yeah.
And you're starting off from nothing, literally nothing.
Well,
And
that's true too. But I can truly say that with from our experience, dealing with the social media is a godsend. It does take work, to say the least, but if you apply it, and I suggest that you do, because for us, we put a page out there, and it took a while for people to catch on, but from there we put that page onto our website, we ran it through Twitter, we ran it through MySpace, and slowly but surely now all of a sudden, from nothing, we have almost 200 people. you know
mhm.
and then what you could also do is, from there, make that page accessible to pavement, to where if somebody, and when you put your 7 pages up there, and if they grab it, all they have to do is click on that one button, and there you go. They get You get their money, and you get the down, and then from there they get the download of your book. See, and once you start engaging your people, and saying, hey, check me out, then all of a sudden and then if it's especially if you hook it in through your MySpace, those 2,000 people will see that you're on Facebook, and they'll tell their friends who may be on MySpace and or Facebook. You know, Granted, it's a shot in the dark, but as also at the same time, just like you being here on our show, exposure. You know,
Right.
you know. So now getting back to your book, uh, who does the drawing and everything else? Is that all you?
No, I did 2/3 of the cover,
Okay.
and my artist Lou Manna, he did he put the face over top of the if you're gonna splice it in, you'll see what I've done. I had it put a wolf walking through blood,
Hmm.
pool of blood and blood spatters, and then he put his a face over top of that. So that's our collaboration on the cover, and then Lou did all the artwork
Okay.
for the book itself.
Okay. So so how do you find um, putting it out there digitally? It was as opposed to print. have you thought about putting in print or anything like that?
I will be putting it out with print on demand. I just have to do some more research and find out which company is best for me. But as a small print run, I don't have the money for that.
Right.
It's just not a. The only reason I went digital is because I could.
Right, right. And that's easier, and that's easy cost too. So
Right.
there is no overhead, which is a very very prudent and smart move, to say the least. I know of a whole bunch of publishers who have gone that route. So, have you also thought about, once you do go to print, about putting it on Amazon? Because I mean, they have a publishing program as well.
Well, like I said, if I'm gonna stay the course for being exclusive for a while, and if
Hmm.
that doesn't work, then I'm gonna have to do something on Amazon or some of the other sites.
Okay.
I don't. I have to be adaptable.
Right,
I
right,
have to be able to change, and then and then now I'm small and I'm doing this myself. It's something I can do.
right. Okay. So then, David, where can folks find you exclusively?
It would be at my site battleaxeproductions.com.
Okay. And and they can get the link directly from there once they make the payment, correct? And how much? And actually, how much is the digital download?
It's 13.99.
13.99. Okay. All right. So, so from here, folks, if you want something that is totally aside from the norm, and I mean this is totally aside from the norm. You've got ordinary guy turned, in my opinion, one of this has got to be one of the baddest asses, sociopath slash serial killers that's out there. And this is, and if you're looking for something that's hardcore horror, and I know your horror fans are out there, this should be something for you. And we've been talking with David Hayer of Battle X Productions about moonbeams and everything else. So David, thank you so much for being a guest on our show.
Well, thank you.
Okay. And hi, welcome back to Lip Service. I'm your host, Stash Jenkins, and it's book review time. Today I have a special treat, a book called Corporate Superheroes Inc., done by one of our former guests, Miguel Guerra. Now, if you like, first off, if you like if you're down with the man, and of course, if you're part of the Wall Street, anti-Wall Street movement, this book is for you. As this book is the story of where superheroes now all of a sudden have to be licensed in order to be a superhero. Hmm. The other interesting part about this now is not only do they have to be licensed, but ordinary lay people have to have special insurance in order to get superhero services. Doesn't that sound familiar about healthcare? I don't know. Now, one of the first things that I noticed about this book is the cover. Its dark, brooding colors give you an overall sense about what's about to happen down the road, which is good. The next thing that I noticed about reading this book is it's 28 pages. Kudos to you, Miguel Guerra, because most independents nowadays can't do 28 pages. He's found a way to do it. So kudos to you already for for hanging in there with the big leagues. The other thing that I noticed about this book is the paneling. nice huge panels give you added detail into the scenes, giving you a more in-depth mood or a better feel for the mood of each panel. The other thing that I like is the computer. Although I'm not a fan of computer coloring, Miguel Guerra's touch is not overdone or anything. And I know what some of you all are saying. You're coloring your book with digital coloring. Yes, I am. Because you know why? Because if I do it by hand, I suck. So with that being said, yes, I'm trying. And I do appreciate now, and I do now appreciate it a little bit better. Like I said, Miguel Guerra's touch, superb. Not overdone or underdone. Just right. Now, what's going on with the story? Okay, once again, superheroes have to be licensed. And ordinary people have to have special insurance. Now, there's 3 subplots going on all at the same time. One subplot deals with the character called American Icon, the former American Icon, because apparently now there is only but one corporation in America, that's in the United States, to where actually superheroes can be employed. Doesn't that sound familiar about certain things in certain places? I don't know. And so now the former American Icon is upset that, one, he has lost his job and now he has to be an ordinary person, or had to deal with ordinary life and be an ordinary person using his superpowers. And of course he laments his current situation because, once again, and this brings it down to what goes on with a whole lot of other people. What does a corporation or the government have the right to tell you what to be or how to be or what to do or why to do? Sounds familiar, doesn't it? And so along the way, he has, and of course he's being dragged into court because he wants his name back. And of course they're saying, well, you're an employee of Superhero Inc. Now, we own, and well, since you're employed, we own everything. Doesn't that sound familiar? Disney. But I digress. Next. And so now, the other subplot is a super character. Yeah, I'm gonna say it. Superhero. Sue me, Disney. Just because you have the trademark doesn't mean that you have the right to control everybody's this, that, and the other. And that's the other thing I like about this book. It does a little tongue in cheek to the big two who own the term superhero. Big deal. You own the rights to it. Big deal. So what you gonna do? Sue me every time? What you gonna do? Try to sue everybody who says the word superhero? Superhero. Now, enough of that. And with Titanium's gripe is this: with the current American Icon, who is nothing more than a boozing playboy who does half of nothing, makes more money than her. And of course, how does she find out? Because of a tabloid that does on the superheroes. So guess what? She gets mad. She goes to the corporate structure and says it and breaks it down to 2 words: pay me. And of course, the corporation does what they do best: toe the corporate line. Oh, you're not really doing all the work. That you're not doing all the work and just getting paid less for it. Okay, boom. Fact. Okay, here's the numbers. And of course, Titanium gives him an ultimatum: pay me or I walk. And of course, the corporation toes this corporate line. Where can you go? We're the only game in town. Sounds familiar, doesn't it, Diamond? Well, guess what? Titanium says, guess what? You're the only game in the United States. I can take my ball elsewhere and get paid. Now, the third subplot that's going on with this book is now thanks to thanks to Superheroes Inc. running rough, doing the corporate thing, and the superheroes supposedly doing what they're supposed to do. Now all of a sudden, supervillains are on the down and out. So now you have the enigmatic, invisible hand wanting to usurp the corporation and bring back to the rise of the role of the supervillain. Invisible hand wanting to manipulate everything. Doesn't that sound familiar? But with that being said, the overall flow of the book is evenly paced throughout 28 pages. And with a newbie just like me jumping into it, you can easily find where you can get into the characters and into everything else. Now, the other thing is the social messaging that's going on throughout this book. It actually reflects what's going on out there today. Sexism, discrimination, just trying to cope with ordinary life from not only from a human standpoint, but from a superhuman standpoint. And realistically, how in a lot of ways, as far as we've come as a society, we haven't gone that far, people. So from here, if you're looking for a book that has a lot of drama, if you're looking for a book that has a lot of drama, if you're with the Take Back Wall Street movement, Corporate Superheroes Inc. is a book that you must read. And for me, I've only read issue 2. Miguel was kind enough to send me issue 3. I'm going to go back and read that. In fact, I got an idea. I like this so much. How about this? We actually bring Miguel on the show to talk more about it live. How about that? I think that would be a great deal. I think so. And so from here, I see we're just about out of time. Normally I go on a rant, but I think I've ranted on long enough. So this is Stash Jenkins signing off. Oh, and by the way, if you like what you see, or better yet, check this out. If you know of somebody who does comics, or if you're a colleague in pen and you want to be on the show, email me. Email us at lipservice.kissmecomics. I'm sorry, lipservice at the little @ kissmecomics.com. Put in the subject show, and we'll take it from there. Also, if you like what you're seeing, I know it's not perfect, but hey, each show we're going to get a little bit better. So, like us. Go down to the bottom of the page. Like us. Subscribe. Tell your friends. Tell all your friends. I don't care if it's one person. Tell that person. And it'll go on and on and on and on. Because this is what's going on. Independence. Independents love doing what we do. We love doing comics. We love being who we are. Plain and foremost. Okay? So until next time, and the next time we're gonna have Miguel Guerra, and we're gonna probably have another book review. I think I don't know who yet, but we'll get it done. So until next time, keep on pressing.